Hello Channel Neat viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel Neat. Very fierce. Hello Channel Neat viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel Neat. In many of our previous episodes, we have talked about TE as a cognitive function. So in this episode, we will continue to talk about TE. In particular, we will talk about the evolution of TE in TE users. In one of our previous episodes, I gave the viewers a very simple test that they can use for their loved ones or their friends to see if they are TE users. It is very easy to recognize a TE user because TE users tend to look at things from many different points of view, including the other people's point of view. So what this means is that TE users, especially TE DOMs, are very likely to give you very holistic, complete analysis of a particular problem. This problem could be a dilemma. So we are going to talk about how TE users approach dilemmas.
And it's more than you ever know.
There are two types of dilemma. One would be the hypothetical dilemma. The other type of dilemma is the real life situation dilemma that you really get to experience. So hypothetically, a hypothetical there are two types of dilemma, a hypothetical dilemma and a real dilemma. Of course, a hypothetical dilemma can also become a real dilemma if it really happens in one's life. But for this episode, we are going to use a hypothetical dilemma, so you can join in the fun too. I have interviewed 5 other different male friends with the same question, and I actually compiled some data with regards to TE and non-TE users. So let's get to this dilemma. It's a very simple dilemma, a dilemma that some males may even get to face in real life. You have been dating person X for the past few months. However, due to a quarrel, she suddenly ghosted you or disappeared. A few days ago, she called you back after a week of disappearance. She told you that after the quarrel, she willfully went to sleep with some other man. And it is through that experience, through that sex, that she really discovered that the person that she really wants and really loves is you. So if you are a person in this situation, what will you do? Will you accept her explanation and forgive her? Or would you just move on? So anyway, I think this will be a very interesting episode for females to watch, to understand how some males think, and also for some males to even look at the situation, because many might experience this situation.
It can happen to any one of us.
So earlier I mentioned that I have interviewed 5 other different men. So together there are 6 views, right? Some of these views come from TI users. So what do I mean by TI users? As long as their cognitive stack has TI, okay, I will consider them as TI users. I did not interview anyone with TI inferior. So they are at least TI tertiary. That will include ISFJs. So very interestingly, TI users tend to just zoom into the question and give an answer. So I have answers like, if I love her very deeply, I will forgive her. So it is a very straightforward answer coming from TI users, usually coming from their own point of view. In this case, because I have asked 2 ISFJs, they are very willing to forgive, on the context that they love this girl very much. Now things get a little bit curious when we have TE user. I have also interviewed an INFP. So INFPs have TE as their inferior function. So what did this INFP say? So very interestingly, although TE is an inferior function for the INFP in this case, when I interviewed him, gave me 3 different points of view. He said that, first, the girl might be testing him. The girl did not have sex with anyone. So in this case, the INFP believes that the girl is just testing if he loves her. Secondly, the INFP also hypothesized that it is possible that this girl is just trying to test his reaction. But in this situation, the girl did have sex with another man. A third point that the INFP gave is that of fairness. So this INFP said that if the girl had sex with someone else, then it is just fair that he can also find other women to have sex with. So now that I'm a more mature ENTJ, what do I think of first when I encounter this kind of dilemma? Well, you might be quite surprised if you are not a TE user because the thinking can be quite complex. First of all, I would ask myself, how did she end up in that position? Is it because of me? How accountable is the quarrel that I had with her to bring her to that situation? And I also will ask myself, if I am in that same position, will I also fall prey to temptation? Next, I will question why she even wants to tell me this part of her story, because it's not necessary. Because she could have just come back to me saying that she realized that she loves me without having to tell me about the infidelity or unfaithful part, right? And it also takes a lot of courage to tell your date that you actually slept with someone else. Assuming that she is in the right frame of mind, I think I will take this into consideration. Then, I would also be thinking about how probable it is for her to do the same thing again. Will she make history repeat itself? I will need to calculate this probability cognitively so that I can evaluate our long-term potential together. Because inherently, I want a faithful partner. Nonetheless, FI also might play a role in this stressful, unusual situation. Of course, I will feel hurt. So even though this is hypothetical, I can also use NI to imagine this and I can feel hurt. It is very difficult for me to remain completely logical. So I have interviewed an ESTJ as well. The ESTJ just says, screw her. She has already screwed up and we are no longer going to be together. Because I've conducted most of these interviews on WhatsApp, it is also possible that the respondent just writes the shortest possible reply being TE users, and therefore I am unable to see how TE users might use different points of views in this case. I understand that this time our sample size is really small, so it's not representative of the TE and the TI users, but in the future, Channel Neat does hope to go out to the public, reach out to more people to ask this kind of interesting questions. And we can all learn from this type of interesting questions how different people may think and react. Of course, my gut feel from this small little research is that TE users tend to think from many different points of view, but TI users tend to only think from one point of view. So this is consistent with what we already know. And when we're talking about TE and TI users, it does not matter which position TE and TI is on your stack. As long as your stack contains TE and your stack contains TI, then TE users tend to think more widely, more holistically. TI users tend to think from one direction only. It is also very possible that TE as a function does grow over time, mature over time for TE dominant and TE auxiliary users. And this is really good news because what it means is that for any MBTI type, your dominant function and your auxiliary function is going to improve over time. So you will become a more mature version of yourself. That's a fly. Okay, now let's continue. We hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more MBTI and psychology. And I will see you again in my next episode. Goodbye!